Hello, my name is Gil Penalosa, and this is Cities for Everyone, the webinar. Every other Tuesday, I invite fascinating people from around the world to share experiences and knowledge that will help us create affordable, equitable, and sustainable cities. I was born in Bogota, Colombia, where as commissioner I led the design and construction of over 200 parks and took a small program called Ciclovia, Open Streets, and increased it to over 120 kilometers, 75 miles of car-free streets every Sunday and holiday, where more than 1 million people walk, bike, run, shop, enjoying the presence of each other. 17 years ago, I created 880 Cities, a non-profit organization based in Toronto, Canada, where I live. Last year, I ran for mayor and came second with 100,000 votes. My aim was to change the conversation in creating a Toronto for everyone. I've been fortunate to have worked in over 350 cities in all continents, sharing and learning. Based on all experiences, I developed master classes and keynotes customized to each city. But Cities for Everyone, the webinar, is a way of giving back. It's always free and hopefully always interesting. Please invite others to join us every other Tuesday, anyone who cares about cities and people, equity and sustainability, about all living older, healthier, and happier. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever you are. Today we have a very different guest. He's done over 1,000 videos. I even thought of not putting it on the communication because people say, what? One person over 1,000 videos? Yes, I'm from all over the world. Clarence Eckerson. He is the producer of street films, and he's done over 1,000 videos on everything related to cities, mostly focused on streets, on walking, on cycling, on public transit, on parks, on plazas, on squares. And I've been with him doing video on open streets on Bogota Ciclovia, which had over 1 million views. That actually opened the movement of open streets around the world. But also I've been with him in Copenhagen, and I've used his videos on Melbourne, on the walking paradise. And sometimes it's very, very hard to explain to people things that they have not seen. So when you say, we're going to do an open street, they say, oh, chaos, the city, the traffic, the congestion. And then when you show it, they say, oh my God, it's everybody, young and old and rich and poor and fat and skinny. And all the main intersections stay open because people stop. Yeah, they walk and bike and so on. So videos, when they say an image is worth 1,000 words, well, Clarence's videos are worth 1 million words. Welcome, Clarence. Please tell us about yourself and how to use videos to take decision makers from thinking it's a nice idea to actually saying yes and doing it. Clarence, how are you?
I'm good.
I love your t-shirt, by the way. Clarence now is selling some t-shirts.
Link up later if anybody wants to buy one. Perfect. Yay.
Yes.
Hello, everybody. I have not done a Zoom presentation in the 3 years during COVID, so it's going to be my first one. I've spoken in front of people, but not remotely. So I hope this all goes well. But I just have the screen up here just to let you know where you can see street films and me. I'm going to have this at the end screen too. And when the chat is re-enabled, when this is over, I will also be sharing lots of links that I think will help you not only use street films wisely, but also a thing called Street Films University, where you can watch some tips and ways I've edited before. So I didn't know exactly what we were going to get, so I prepared a lot of different things. And so let's get started. I will tell you about myself. All right, so you guys are seeing the second screen now, right? Yes?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, so a little bit about me. I've been making films in the world and in New York City since the very late 1990s. When I was growing up, I was always fascinated with video and well, the films and editing. And I actually had 8mm cameras. I saved up a lot of money to buy as a kid. I got a video camera in college. And when I was in New York City for after a few years and getting involved with bicycling, I started volunteering for a cable access show called The Bike Show. And it was a cable access show. It showed in a few boroughs. It was in Philadelphia and a few other places. And eventually, the show just was kind of lacking a lot of energy. So the gentleman was retiring to go live on a boat. And so he gave me the show and a few other people, and we rechristened it Bike TV. And I ran that for 5 years, much more exciting, had a lot more advocacy, what was going on in bicycling in New York City, but also places we visited. And that was completely unpaid, no money. It was just a work of love, and the people that were on that show were really awesome. And we would just show ourselves biking around what we wanted to see in New York City. But during that time, I started working for Open Plans, which is the parent organization for street films, and all the Streets blogs, if you may know Streets blogs, which is a news service in New York City, San Francisco. There are plenty of other outlets all over the United States. And Street Films actually didn't get christened and coined with a website until 2007. So a lot of times I say I've been working for Street Films since 2005, but it actually began a few years later that it was actually called Street Films. I just thought I'd start out today with like the latest film that's up, the latest one I've completed, and this is just an absolutely marvelous film. So I just wanted to sit back and show you about 2.5 minutes of this. It's in Portland, where Sam Balto has been doing the bike bus. And it has just really been this energetic thing, along with the BC bus in Barcelona and other places that have been spurring people to do this. So I will now play the film for you.
You feel free. Like sometimes my dad says it's like you're biking on an ocean of joy.
It's the highlight of my week. The kids, seeing them just cut loose, be independent.
I really like it because I get to be outside and I get to ride my bike, which is something I really love doing.
Any way you can get kids to school consistently, and if you can do it in a way that's environmentally safe and good for their health, that's just icing on the cake.
This is what a movement looks like, and this is how we create change to bring this more equitably to more schools and children around Oregon. So let's keep riding. Bike Bus got started last year for Earth Day. I've been doing walking school buses and been very passionate in active transportation to school for a while. And I'd seen a video of a bike bus in Barcelona that looked really awesome. So I wanted to try it at my school here in Portland. It was a huge success. We had 75 students participate, and we continued to do it every Wednesday since then, and it's grown tremendously. The end of last school year, it went from 75 to 120 in like 6 weeks. And then at the start of the fall, it was over 190 kids, a third of the school participating.
And I think with Sam, it's just worked for him. He's just got the energy for it. He has embraced his role as a leader of it. He's embraced his role as a media spokesperson for what he's doing. And there's so many little factors that have to be all falling into place, right? He's had this sort of the expertise, and this idea that he's a physical education teacher as well has been a perfect mix. So it's just everything has worked out.
It's great to see kids, rain or shine, getting out there and being active, and just the joy that they show and how excited they are to see their friends. It's really amazing.
Kids really don't care about the weather. They want to be with their friends. And I think this whole idea of weather is something that adults create, and children just want opportunities to be outdoors and to socialize and have fun. What do you like most about it?
They can talk to all their friends. You know, it's going to be the highlight of your day, and you're going to arrive at school having such a sense of community and joy. I feel like it's less of talking, just being there with your friends and being able to be with them in the morning.
Our principal has said that arrival, kids entering the building on bike bus mornings is calmer. The kids enter quicker and just more excited for the day than on
So that's you know, the bike bus in Portland and in Alameda specifically neighborhood. And I just thought it'd be a nice thing to get us started to show kind of what I kind of do. That's what I do. Ironically, that video has one interesting thing in that I probably only shot about 30% of that, 35% of it. It's one of the rare times with the drone footage from above and some of the participant video that was given to me by Sam and other people. So that was pretty cool. So I'm going to move on to the second clip. And this is, you know, a throwback, Gil. Here we are in Bogota, Ciclovia 2007. And we in New York City had been wanting to do a lot of really cool things. And we heard about the open street Ciclovia in Bogota. And a gentleman by the name of Ethan Kent, who you may know from various places, including Placemaking X currently, had taken some photos and been on vacation. And I just asked our founder, Mark Gorton, who was funding street films, maybe we should go down there. And a group of us did. These pictures, the first picture there is me with Carla, who's translating Spanish for a lot of the interviews. And there's Gil, there's Aaron Napperstack in the bottom left corner. He was the person who founded Streets Blog, and it was such a great time. So I wanted to show a bit of this, and you will also see Gil in here as well in the Ciclovia. And here you go.
So it's 2 o'clock today and the Ciclovia is almost over. We've had a really long day. We got up at 5 in the morning and we got to see how it all started. Everything from packing up the vendor stations and the trucks to barricading the streets and closing it to cars. It was pretty light traffic at the beginning because the weather wasn't so great, but at about 8 o'clock, it started getting packed. It's a really beautiful way to see the city. There's just tons of people, all different kinds, all different ages. There's even a segment called the Reclovia, and this is absolutely great because they have about 28 stages with aerobics instructors and Rumba instructors, and they're giving free classes to any citizen that wants to participate. It's really something beautiful to see.
A las 7 de la mañana ya la gente comienza a invadir las calles y en la medida que va pasando el día, de ciclistas y gente caminando en patines, familias, ya comienzan a hacer uso de la ciclovía. Esta vía que tiene 4 carriles para los vehículos normalmente, se destinan efectivamente la mayoría de los carriles para los ciclistas y solamente se deja un tramo para que la circulación de vehículos de todas maneras pueda seguir funcionando. Esto lo que le ofrece a la gente es muchísima seguridad, muchísima tranquilidad, porque es un espacio muy amplio en el que pueden montar bicicleta, patines o caminar totalmente seguros, totalmente confiados de que no les va a pasar nada, porque pues son vías destinadas específicamente para la recreación, para la convivencia, para hacer actividad física.
When we were starting the Ciclovia, when I was commissioner of Parks, Sports and Recreation, we were going to increase from 13K, which is about 8 miles, to over 90K, and we needed a lot of people to work on it. So we put an ad on the paper saying, we need supervisors of the Ciclovia, and these are the requirements. We got 20 resumes, and we were expecting over 200. So at the time, the #1 program on Colombian TV was Bike Watch. So we put an ad on the paper saying, we need Bike Watch, tall, handsome, athletic, blah, blah, blah. And we got 1,500 resumes, which shows that social marketing works. And so now these people are called Bike Watch, and they're like the managers of the Ciclovia.
Okay, so that's the clip we were going to show from there. I just wanted to point out the Ciclovia film was so big in so many ways. It kind of got spread around North America, this video, quite a bit because there had been no kind of documentation of its kind. And I really think it's wonderful because there were a lot of places that were trying to get open streets, including, as you can see on this list, San Francisco, New York City, Chicago, Portland. There's probably another half dozen that all got it in 2008, basically because they said they spread my film around to the people that were making the decisions. The most important thing I can think of was in San Francisco, where they had 6 meetings in 6 months with the head of the mayor's staff. And San Francisco Bike Coalition said each time that the proposal got tabled, like, we want to do it, let's have another meeting. And then at the next meeting, they said, we just are going to use our 10 minutes to show you this film. And it got okayed. So that's really cool. And I really always want to thank Gil big time. I mean, you wouldn't believe how much coordination and how much of the city he showed us in those 3 or 4 days. And it was so much fun. And I still tell people stories about going around with you, Gil. It was fascinating and amazing. And it broadened my horizons, and it really put street films more on the map than ever had.
Thank you, Clarence. How many people do you estimate, how many views has this video?
Well, like I said, at one point it was over 1 million a couple of years ago. I don't know. It's hard to it's hard to say. I can only come up with estimates.
And the other thing, thanks, Clarence, the other thing is that it's so hard to explain to people what it is until they see it. I love your video on Portland because you tell people, a bike bus, and they say, what is it? But then, and I love the comment of that girl, is the best part of your day. Oh man, I love it. Go ahead, Clarence.
Yeah. But I just want to keep moving along here. So I just wanted to, I've interspersed some of this with some slides and some things to talk about. But, going back in a time machine, when we started, we officially started 7 days after YouTube first started existing. And YouTube was terrible back then. It was grainy. You couldn't choose what picture you had. There was a lot of things that it is today. Cell phones back then, weren't in existence. Most people had a flip phone. Social media was not big. It was just starting. And we used Vimeo in 2008, and some of these first films from Bogota appeared there on that Vimeo. And so I just want to tell people, the way we got the word out back then, we handed out flyers on the streets. We did screenings. We printed thousands of DVDs to spread around to people in other cities. We just did everything we could. It's nothing like the game is today. So I just wanted to emphasize that. The third film I'm going to show is from Utrecht, and that has been huge. And if anybody's not familiar with Utrecht in the Netherlands, I tried my best to show it off here. So here's about 2 minutes. Oh, where did it go? 2 minutes of that film.
Utrecht is a cycling-friendly city. The population is 350,000 people. At a daily basis, there are 125,000 cyclists passing through downtown Utrecht. So that's quite a lot.
I'm really fond of cycling because it has so many advantages. It's about the noise, it's about clean air, about the climate, but also about how friendly it is in cities. You really have the idea that people are the boss on the street and not machines.
It's all to get cars out of the city center, park at the edge of the city, or go into it and then pay the full price. But don't go through the city. That's the whole idea.
Things that have changed radically in the last years. So you can see what happens if you choose the radical choice and get the car out, the bikes, and the people in.
This is called Vredenburg. It's one of the central locations in our city. It's dedicated only to bus traffic and bicycle traffic and of course pedestrians. So regular cars are not permitted here. It's a very busy place because it's close to the central station and it's on the route through the city center. It's actually the busiest bicycle location of the Netherlands.
Utrecht, in a lot of ways, is emblematic of an entire country that really made a very resolute decision in the 1970s to not build their cities around the automobile. And 40 to 50 years later, now they are really reaping the rewards of those decisions. And so whether you go to any number of hundreds of cities across the Netherlands, their city centers are reserved for commerce, for community, for social connection. You've got markets, you've got shops, you've got social interaction, you've got lots of bicycles, lots of people.
Okay, so that's that clip. Oh, sorry. I just want to quickly point out the impact of the Utrecht film. You know, there's a lot of great cities in the Netherlands, but Amsterdam got largely most of the credit for until about 5-6 years ago. This is now the most popular film of all time. Over 2 million people have watched this since it debuted in 2019. We also had a contest a few years ago for the most popular street film of all time. Barcelona Superblocks, which I did in 2018, is the most popular of all time. But this Utrecht film was very close. It was like 51 to 49% when it came to the head-to-head at the end. So both great films, both awesome stuff. And I got to tell you, tons of people have told me since they visited just because of this film, gone to school there, brought classes and transportation professionals there to see it. And this wonderful comment just came in a few weeks ago. This gentleman said he moved there after seeing this film and visiting with his family. And he says he found his place on earth. So thank you to the people that made this video. It changed my life. And you can't really ask for much more than that. That's really cool. I'm just going to give some quick tips and advice. There's always stories to tell. Don't worry about making your film perfect. You know, we're talking transportation. A lot of things aren't perfect sound or perfect shots, but you put something together, and if it's interesting enough, as you know, it'll go viral on Twitter, or it'll be very useful just in presentations and communities. Obviously, TikTok and Instagram are huge right now, and you know, my rule used to be, except for big films like going to Paris or to Bogota or England or somewhere, I'd always, unless I was going there, I try to keep films to the 3 to 4 minute ratio area there. But now it seems like kids these days are like, you know, looking at TikToks that are 5 seconds, 10 seconds long, or more popular now on YouTube are these 20-minute, 30-minute, 1 minute, one person narratives where they just talk about their expertise or what we should be doing better. Speaking of Paris, let's watch this latest film, which I did. And this one is very cool because I kind of brought it to New York, saying we need to make our lanes wider here as they are in Paris.
So here I am in Paris along the Rue de Rivoli, also known as the #1 cycle route. And I've been riding a lot of wide bike paths here in Paris, and it's lovely and it's wonderful. And you feel there's a buffer of safety when they're that wide. When you're a visitor and you ride it, you're kind of like, I can't believe this exists like this. So what they did here along the Rue de Rivoli, they first made a two-way protected bike path, and it worked very well for a little while, but very quickly during COVID, when people started using the bicycle even more, this two-way lane was not enough. And so they eventually took back another lane of traffic so they could have one full lane for the bicycles going west and another one going east. So you have really 2/3 of this street devoted to bicycling, and 1/3 of vehicles, trucks, cars, private cars, taxis, and even buses have to share that one narrow lane over there, and they can't even pass each other. So it's pretty remarkable what they've done here and what Paris has been doing to build wide bike paths. And what we're not doing in New York City is we're not building for the future. We're building for now. And sometimes to get new lanes in, it takes a while. So our bike lanes in New York City are getting very crowded. And again, we're talking all kinds of wheeled devices. We've got scooters, we've got bikes, we've got e-bikes, we've got throttle bikes, we've got mopeds. UPS just announced they're going to be running delivery vehicles. And they're wider than a lot of bikes, and they're definitely longer, much bigger than in your average cargo bike. So we need to find some space to start separating those two classes of vehicles too. The slower.
Okay, so that's that was the next clip. So I just want to talk the Paris street films. Even though I did those last summer, we've already had a lot of cool things going on. For example, we've had, if you can see to the right, sorry, I got the text up over here on the left, but just look at these two photos here on the right. Second Avenue bike lane. We've been doing bike counts here to show how busy things are. And if you see the photo below that, the super sidewalks and bike lanes, New York City DOT has been widening some lanes and some sidewalks. So that was a nice, you know, already some evidence that people are watching, but we've been pushing for that for a while. Our lanes in New York in some places are pretty narrow for the number of people in them. I just wanted to point out, last year I got this great UN award. There's my kid and the only one that has a pink Street Films t-shirt because it's his favorite color. We were on, we celebrated on the 34th Avenue open street. And I'm just doing this as a plug because we have this it's a lot of people know about it worldwide, but we have an open street that started in April of 2020 due to COVID. It's 1.3 miles long. It starts right up the block. I'm so lucky that they chose this spot. And if you ever want to come to New York or have never actually been to Queens, you should come out because it's wonderful all day long, people on it. Unless it's pouring rain or really cold temperatures, there are people out, and especially during school dismissal, it's incredible. Like that picture there on the third picture on the right. I mean, that's what it looks like for about a half an hour, 45 minutes. So I'm going to finally get to the final video, which does show off some of the 34th Avenue. And in New York City, we've been pushing for school streets. And I think some of the audio in this will tell you kind of why and how we're fighting for that.
There's something like 1,600 school buildings in New York City, public school buildings. And we think every one of them should have an open street in front of it, at least one side of the school. They're good for safety. The air is cleaner. It's quieter. It gives kids space.
We have 26 blocks, 1.3 miles.
How many schools along those blocks?
Well, we have 7,000 kids that go to the schools here. There are like several that are actually on 34th Avenue, and there are others that are right off 34th Avenue.
We don't have a lot of play space for the kids. I mean, they have a tiny little yard, and I'm dreaming about like having open assemblies up here.
For lunch out here, you know, we got together a group of parents and we had some calls and we talked about how this is an equity issue and this is space that should belong to us and that our children should use.
And I think it's important to have like a partnership. I think like it was really great to go to the principal and know that she supported us. And then, you know, once we presented it to the parents, it was like, oh yeah, of course, that makes total sense. Why haven't we done this?
70% of our neighborhood is roads that cars drive on that aren't safe for kids. And our kids are so crowded that pickup, dismissal, drop off, recess are all super stressful.
Now we have the opportunity to make our streets safer with a place like Paseo Park. Safer for our children to play, to walk to school, to know that when they walk down, they can enjoy space in our community without having to worry about cars zipping by every second that could endanger them or their lives. This is really about making our streets, our 34th Avenue, safer for pedestrians and more.
All right, so that's sorry, that's where we'll end that. And let me say again, 34th Avenue, please, if you're coming out, give me a call, email me. I'll come meet you. It's phenomenal. So we're now at present day, like I said, Instagram, TikTok, big time. We are at 1,067 films, I think now, maybe a little bit more. The estimate is between 25 to 40 million plays across all media. I will say COVID has had a dramatic effect on my popularity and how much stuff people watch now, because in 2020, people were sitting at home and a lot of young people decided, what am I going to do with my life? And a lot of them were transportation aficionados and experts. So they've been doing, I've always, it's so funny, when I started doing this in 2005, I thought once everybody got cell phones and editing software got more popular, I was like, okay, I'll be out of a job, you know, by 2010, 2015. You know, I thought more and more people would be at least doing it for fun or as a hobby. And it really took COVID to change that. A lot of people decided what was important to them and what they were good at and what they wanted to experiment at while they're at home. So these are all new kids, new generation of people. There's one guy in Everyday Engineering who's on TikTok, who, I mean, there's some videos that like almost shot for shot, even though I know he probably didn't intend it, but shot for shot and what he says are almost exactly what I was doing, 10, 15 years ago. So it's really cool to see it. And I'll just end by saying, here's how you can see street films. If you're going to go to YouTube, you could just type in the word street films and it'll, eventually one of the videos will come up. But there's almost 1,000 videos on YouTube. There's 1,070 overall. On Twitter at Street Films and at Purple Clarence, I usually try to engage everyone. So I think we'll end that there. And now, Gil, do I just stop screen sharing and we start getting some more exciting back and forth and questions going here?
Clarence, thank you. This has been amazing. People have been able to see how to use videos and your tips on how to use the video, the light, the people, the distance, what to focus. And also, I loved how you said you don't have to be a professional. The video doesn't have to be perfect. It's better to do a good video than to keep waiting for the spectacular one. So, and I thought that it was also very interesting, the examples that you showed. Once you have the video, you can use it to get more advocates, so citizens. Also, you can get to educate elected officials, media, reporters. Maybe they haven't seen something, so people are apprehensive of new things. Change is hard everywhere, and change is not unanimous, but the cost of doing nothing is not nothing. So, Clarence, I want to thank you for doing all the magnificent work that you do all over the world, also for allowing people everywhere to use the videos at absolutely no cost. If you want to use the videos in the schools with elected officials at any community meeting, use it. Street Films, done by Clarence Eckerson Jr. Thank you, Clarence. All the best.